Horrible thing that happens in America. Oh yeah.
Там я донатики открыл 2 фунта, кому-то $2. Накиньте мне на кофеюшечку после стрима. А то вот кружечка есть, кофеюшечки нету. Если есть добрые люди, которые смотрят стримчик, там накиньте. Собираем на кофе. На сходку идем. First Army Волк. Украинский цыган. Странно. Ну, пусть будет так, раз тебе легче. Вот и пришли практически. С собой. Ну вот, я уже все вижу. Мы уже практически пришли. Ну все, ребятушки, расчехляйте свои методички и давай писать. Главное, все по методичке пишите. Методичка наша все. Держи страйки. Какие страйки? От твоего страйка ничего не будет, Андрюшенька. Сборище цыганя. А как ты разгонишь? Ты же сидишь у себя на диване. Ты не можешь разогнать. Ты можешь только писать. Разогнать я тебе расскажу как. Это приходишь сюда и разгоняешь. У тебя-то тут нет. Флаг Литвы зачем? Ну потому что Литва поддерживает. После Украины будет Литва следующая. Вот зачем. Как тебе непонятно? Литва, Латвия, Эстония, Польша, Финляндия. До всех доберешься, только сидя на своем диване и пердеть туда будешь каждый раз. Так дело не пойдет. Только делом нужно доказывать свои слова.
also, I want to say huge thank you to everyone who's coming here every week, every Wednesday, and every Sunday. It's very important for all Ukrainian defenders to see the world support, support from your side when you donate money for individuals, for valuable for all of us Ukrainians, because Ukrainian defenders, they stay there on the front line and they do nothing without our support. Thank you very much.
World support Ukraine!
World support Ukraine!
World support Ukraine! World support Ukraine!
Такі роздягнутися.
World support Ukraine!
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 Save Ukraine, protect peace!
Help Ukraine protect peace!
Save Ukraine, protect peace!
Save 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 Ukraine protect peace!
Stop Russia, stop the war!
Stop Russia! Stop the war!
Stop Russia, stop the war!
Stop Russia! Stop the war!
Stop Russia, stop the war!
Stop Russia! Stop the war!
Stop Russia, stop the war!
Stop Russia! Stop the war!
Stop Russia, stop the war!
Stop Russia! Stop the war!
Stop Russia, stop the war!
Stop Russia! Stop the war!
Stop Russia, stop the war!
Stop Russia! Stop the war!
Russia is a terrorist state!
Russia is the terrorist state!
Russia is a terrorist state!
Russia is the terrorist state!
Russia is a terrorist state!
Russia is the terrorist state!
Russia is a terrorist state!
Russia is the terrorist state!
Russia is a terrorist state!
Russia is the terrorist state!
Russia is a terrorist state!
Russia is the terrorist state!
Russia is a terrorist state!
Russia is the terrorist state!
More sanctions on Russia!
More sanction on Russia!
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 More sanctions on Russia!
More sanction on
More sanctions on Russia!
More sanction on Russia!
Stop buying Russian gas!
Stop buy Russian gas!
Stop buying Russian oil!
Stop buy Russian oil!
Stop buying Russian gas!
Stop buy Russian gas!
Stop buying Russian oil!
Russian oil!
Stop buying Russian oil! Russia is a terrorist state!
Russia is the terrorist state!
Russia is a terrorist state!
Russia is the terrorist state!
Russia is a terrorist state!
Russia is the terrorist state!
Russia is a terrorist state!
NSLPOW.
Free our heroes!
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 Free
Free our heroes!
Free our heroes!
Free our heroes! Free our heroes!
Free our heroes!
Free our heroes!
Free our heroes!
Free our heroes!
Free our
World support Ukraine! 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 We'll be back after a short musical pause.
How are you? I'm good, thank you. Good.
Україні!
Понад усе! Понад усе! Понад усе!
Нашим захисникам тричі!
Слава! Слава! Слава!
Olga Vernaya says something. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Olga. I'm an historian and architect and displaced Ukrainian in London. I came here 2 months after full-scale invasion with my teenage daughter. And I want to share about my personal story and my background. But first, today UK celebrates Mother's Day. And I want to say thank you on behalf of all Ukrainian mothers for your support and for hosting us, for saving our lives. I remember when I just came and was given one of my first interviews for ITV News. I was asked by the journalist if UK does enough for us. And back then it was 89,000 displaced Ukrainians in UK. Almost the same amount was killed by Russia in Mariupol. So I just want to say thank you for saving these lives. Now it's over 200,000 Ukrainians in UK being hosted and feeling your support and being protected. on February 24th, 2022, I was in Kyiv with my daughter, my mom, and my sister. As a historian, to be honest, I believe that this full-scale invasion will never stop, because I was hoping that people learn their history lessons and that this will never happen again. Symbolically, we are now in front of monuments for women in Second World War. And we didn't have a vehicle car to leave Kyiv, and it was really, really hard to leave Kyiv that day. But we were lucky that one of our friends just left keys from his car next to his house, and we were blessed to leave because Kyiv was under constant shelling. And on our way to Dnipro region, where my mom's husband is living, we could see Russian helicopters, Russian fire jets, Russian missiles attacking energy systems. And it's still happening. It's been over 3 years and it's still happening. My family in Ukraine, and they under constant shelling of drones and missiles. And what you should remember, that there could be no negotiations with Russia because Russia is a terrorist state. Russia is a terrorist state. Russia is a terrorist state.
Russia is a terrorist state.
Russia is a terrorist state.
Russia is a terrorist state.
Russia is a terrorist state.
Russia is a terrorist state.
Does any one of you remember any negotiations with Nazis? I don't think so. Any one of you remember any negotiations with terrorists made by US? I don't think so. Why world is trying to make peace negotiations with Russia now? Why world is trying to use Russian narratives coming from Russian propaganda? My partner now is the front line in the next region. You don't see this on media because most focus is on international relations, on these peace talks and negotiations. But because of America's supported narrative that territories, occupied territories, Ukrainian occupied territories, where Ukrainians speak Russian should belong to Russia. What is happening now on front line? Russia is using this, trying to get more territories from Ukraine. And it's really, really intense right now at frontline. So please believe me that our soldiers need your support, need your funds and donations more than ever. Because at the beginning of full-scale invasion, we were united and everyone was donating, everyone was helping. Now it seems like everyone is tired of the war. And believe me, our soldiers, our defenders, more than anyone is tired at the front line of Ukraine. So please remember that war it is ongoing war for 11 years. It is not over 3 years, it's over 11 years. And as a historian, I can tell you it's not even 100 years. It's almost 400 years. Russia is trying to erase Ukrainian nation. Russia is trying to destroy Ukrainian culture. Russia is trying to destroy Ukrainian language, literature. And I want to tell to all Ukrainians how blessed you are to have a will and freedom today to speak Ukrainian. Because all of the Ukrainians on occupied territories being tortured and killed just for talking Ukrainian. There are millions of children who are forced to learn Russian, to learn in Russian schools. And they are under threat if they're trying to continue online with Ukrainian education. We are very blessed to be here and to have this freedom. Millions of Ukrainians don't have that freedom today. When we are talking about occupied territories in Ukraine, and when you hear negotiations that we will have peace as long as Ukraine will give away these territories, it's not about territories, it's about people. And for them, as long as they are occupied, their suffering are continuing. They don't have voices. We don't know, we don't see all those tortures. At the beginning of this month, I was at British Parliament at round table organized for Azovstal families, and I met in person prisoners of war who were in Russian captivity. And they shared their personal stories, how Russia violates all Geneva Convention laws, how they're treated, how they're tortured, and being killed. And this week, at the beginning of this week, I was at British Parliament meeting representatives from Save Ukraine who trying to bring Ukrainian kids back. And there was Ksenia Kolodin. Now she's 20 years old, but she was kidnapped by Russia when she was 17 with her younger brother from Vovcha in Kharkiv region. She didn't know English before that, but she learned English to be able to speak the truth, to tell her story, and to become a voice of those who don't have this opportunity. Every Sunday in Ukraine, Azovstal families have rallies to support prisoners of war because they need our voices, they need to be heard, and they need to be heard loudly. There could be no peace negotiation until all prisoners of war and all Ukrainian children will be back to Ukraine. You hear the number of kidnapped children around 20,000, but it's not true. Including all occupied territories, there is 20% of Ukrainian children, and it's over 1.6 million Ukrainian children. It's a lot. And children who were brought back to Ukraine, they tell that every second, every minute while we're standing here, while I'm talking to you, there are children being tortured. There are children whose identity has been completely erased. Russians completely destroy their documents. They completely destroy their social media. And what you don't hear, that parents of these children, of these kidnapped children, were killed or tortured, or we don't know what happened with them. Everyone is talking about children, but nobody is talking about the parents and their relatives. And Russia, there will be no peace for Russia ever. It's an imperialistic mindset. They are training their children starting from kindergarten. They're preparing them for military service. They're doing this to Ukrainian children kidnapped or on occupied territories. And what they do for the past 11 years, when these children grow up, they send them to the front line. So Ukrainian children who grew up on occupied territories are sent to front line of Ukraine to kill Ukrainians. It's another way of genocide of Ukrainian people. And Russia has been committing genocide for Ukrainian nation for centuries. Please remember that, and please don't forget to be a voice of those who need this. Last year, I started a production of Unity Voices podcast because I do believe in power of voice, and I do believe in strength of unity. This is what we have to do. We have to be united. We have to be vocal. But it's not just about talking. It also has to be a call to action. Today, we have Women Fight for Ukraine. And on their website, if you go on www.womenfightforukraine.com, you can find samples of the letters to send to Red Cross about prisoners of war of Ukraine. If you go on the website of Support London, you will find samples to write letters to your MP about Russian assets. Please make at least one step at a time. At least do something every day. Donate, raise awareness, talk to people, spread information on social media. You don't understand, but it has impact. I talk to these people who come back from Russian captivity. All of them, children and prisoners of war, everyone on occupied territories, they are brainwashed. And when they come back to Ukraine and they see our support, they see that we have rallies every week to support our children, our prisoners of war, they get really emotional because they are told that nobody cares about them. They are told that we don't care. And also this week, I watched a documentary about Russian propaganda. As a historian, I can tell you that it's a very, very powerful machine and a very powerful tool that goes beyond Russia. Now it is soaked, even American propaganda now is soaked with Russian narratives. And it is a very dangerous place we are at the moment. I was growing up in Ukraine in the 90s. In this documentary, they show all the films, how Russia used film industry for their propaganda. And I was shocked, because when I was a kid and I was watching all these TV series and Russian films, I didn't realize how it works. From 1991 until nowadays, they use film industry to militarize their society. And they try to show them as victims. With Chechnya, with Georgia, with Ukraine, they always lie. But what you have to remember, every time they say that Ukraine will do something or Ukraine did it, it's a warning for you that Russia will do it and Russia did it. They always reverse it. So please remember and spread awareness about Russia propaganda and don't let yourself to be fooled and don't let anyone to be fooled. And there could be no peace talks with Russia. We can have all the justice peace for Ukraine through strength and unity of democracy. Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Thank you.
Return our children. Protect our future. 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 Return our children. Protect our future.
Hi everyone, my name is Christina. I'm Ukrainian and I'm also a Londoner. I've been living in London for over 10 years and I just wanted to share a story how this war is personal to everyone. Doesn't matter if you live in Ukraine or outside of it. My brother voluntarily joined the army in February of 2022. He never served in the army before, but as a man and as a Ukrainian, he made the decision without asking any of the members, and we were very proud of him, but we also were very scared of his well-being and of his life. On 12th of September of 2022, I received the scariest call of all, that my brother was wounded in Donetsk region, and my world just dropped because there was no details of his well-being, and we didn't know if he has all his limbs, or maybe he lost a leg or an arm. Luckily, he survived, and after 4 months of rehabilitation, he went back, and now he is continuing his service in Kharkiv Oblast. This is just one example of how this war is personal. My classmate, Ruslana Polatenko, who was 30 years old when the war started, went to defend his country and was killed in combat in March 2023. He died 2 days before his 31st birthday. He had a young wife and they just got married 1 year before this war started. So Russia stole his future family and made his whole family suffer. My ex-colleague, Yuri, a cameraman, a very kind, generous man, a family man, also went to defend his country. He was killed in combat defending Kharkiv region. This devastation is every single day. That's what we experience, that's what we're living. My 10-year-old daughter, goddaughter, asked her mom that she told her mom that she wants to attend the funeral of her classmate. I just wanted to repeat, my goddaughter, she's 10 years old. She had to attend the funeral of her classmate because he was killed in his bed along his 2 other younger siblings with his mother. And then certain politicians across the Atlantic asking us to make negotiations with Russia, with Putin, with people who brought all this devastation, all this evil on our land. They're asking us to give up our territories. They're asking us to negotiate and blaming that the war could have been avoided, that there is our blame in that war, which I found, I don't know, despicable. It's crazy. And I just want to say that we Ukrainians, we didn't ask anyone to come and fight our war. Our brave men and women are fighting it. We just ask for your support, and obviously with all the right ammunition and weapons, we can defeat Russia. We've proven it because we've been fighting the 2nd largest army in the world for the past 3 years. So I just want to ask you all to go and search Russian war crimes to see why Ukraine can't be blamed for this war, to see why Ukraine is on the right side of the history, and to find your reasons to keep supporting Ukraine. That's my only ask for today. Thank you.
Arm Ukraine as you promised.
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 Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
In last 7 days, with the Middle East friends, helped 3 Ukrainian children that got kidnapped by Russian regime in 2022 were returned. Unfortunately, I am very good with maths. That's a curse and a blessing, and in itself, there is 90,546 children that were kidnapped, minus 3. That is 19,543 left. With the rate of last week, it will take Ukrainians more than 125 years to get those children back. This is unacceptable. While they are asking to ease the sanctions, all we ask is for them to stop killing us, for them to release our prisoners of war, for them to stop breaking Geneva Conventions, for them to stop torturing our soldiers, for them to not write the destiny of the children that being kidnapped in 2022. And this is all we want. Peace and freedom, but not just for us, but for our future generations. I was born in the 80s in Czech Republic when it was occupied by Russians. only one out of my two brothers was born in a free, democratic country. I don't have a Ukrainian citizenship, but if you do a DNA test, it will show that both of my parents come from a small village in Vinnytsia region, not far away from a small city called Slavuta. There is a place, people keep saying, Peremyshel is in Poland. I said, no, there is a village in Ukraine where I spend every summer of my childhood. This is why I'm here. I have a Latvian citizenship. I don't need to be here. But I couldn't sleep for 6 months when this invasion started. Because they are trying either to annihilate us or they are trying to rule us again. Because Russia is a terrorist state.
Russia is the terrorist state.
Russia is a terrorist state.
Russia is the terrorist state.
Stop Russia, stop the war.
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 This is why we gather here, and we had around 500 plus war rallies since 2014. More than 400 war rallies in last 36 months. We gather here on this spot every Wednesday at 6 p.m. for 2 hours, or every Sunday as well from 3 o'clock like today until 5 o'clock. And if this spot is occupied by Mark Wahlberg making another movie or anyone else filming or protesting, we will be in a Parliament Square raising Ukrainian flag for peace and freedom in Ukraine. Help Ukraine protect peace.
Help Ukraine protect peace.
Help Ukraine protect peace.
Help Ukraine protect peace.
And I would like to read before Anna gonna take place. I'm gonna read you something before we move on. I'm going to read you from John 15, verse 4 and 5. Remain in me, as I also remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. Neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me, and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you cannot do nothing. So for every Ukrainian, you can choose to move on, or you can be the part of the vine of Ukraine, the part of our tribe. You can be the warrior volunteer that we are. Like we support Ukraine, you can join any other groups that support Ukraine. Like we are saying, this number will be 30,000 first aid kits, more than 700 vehicles of different types with British Ukrainian aid was sent to the front line. 1.15 billion pounds in direct aid already collected and sent. We are doing that because for us, this is an accidental war. It doesn't matter what passport you have. We have Romanians here standing with us. One Romanian came to me today and he said, if Ukraine votes, we can be next because they knew what happened to their elections last year. But Moldovans know it better than anyone else because they keep telling them that there is unfinished business there. Russia is not a Ukrainian problem. Ask anyone in Burkina Faso, Mali, Nigeria, Central African Republic, ask any Syrian, any Georgian, any Moldovan, any Chechen. Russia is a world problem because Russia is a terrorist state.
Russia is the terrorist state.
Russia is a terrorist state.
Russia is the terrorist state.
Russia is a terrorist state.
Russia is the terrorist state.
Help Ukraine protect peace.
Help Ukraine protect peace.
And lastly, I'd like to ask, please, apart from these war rallies, at least once a month, you can ask any of the volunteers, please come and help us to park or do anything. something once a month at least is a big help, because all the volunteers are tired. It's been a long last 3 years was a very long time. It's unquantifiable financially, emotionally and morally what all it takes. But who if not us, and when if not now? Because no, regardless of who is your host, who is your sponsor, where you live in the world, you are Ukraine. I'm talking to Ukrainians right now. Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Нашим захисникам тричі.
Слава! Слава! Слава!
Дякую.
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава нації!
Смерть ворогам!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Найкращим захисникам України тричі!
Слава! Слава! Слава!
I'm going to make a short speech since we're almost done with our rally for today, but I will touch upon what your cause said, that it is really important to continue coming to these rallies. I'm very sorry that unfortunately I don't come myself as often as I wish, but it is still really important to continue talking about Ukraine on social media, sharing posts about Ukraine, talking to people here about Ukraine, about what's happening in Ukraine. Since the Oval Office incident, I've been approached by so many people, British, European, and they're asking about what do you think is going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'll tell you what should happen. The world should finally wake up because of what's happening in the US. We shouldn't blind them anymore, and the rest of the world should rise and prove it. Because we can't fight this war by ourselves. We were given promises. There was the Budapest Memorandum, which we signed alongside the United States, alongside Russia, and now our so-called allies at the time are betraying us by attacking us from all the fronts. We gave up our second biggest nuclear arsenal in the world. For what? For now fighting Russians? We shouldn't be subject to that. And the rest of the world should help us by giving us the weapons that we need, by supporting us potentially even with the military that we need, and by helping us in general, because we weren't given such assurances. So I'm very much hoping that what Trump is doing is going to actually backfire, and the world is going to wake up against Putin. World, wake up!
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 We're often asked as Ukrainians, why Putin doing this? I mean, there are several reasons that one can give. I don't know what's going on in a madman's head, but one of the reasons why Putin is doing what he's doing is because of his imperialistic ambitions. He wants to restore the Soviet Union. A lot of people on the right, such as Donald Trump, for example, think that Putin is also on the right because he is for Christianity and against the typical liberal beliefs of Europe. But that is not the case. Putin is actually from a post-communist state, from Soviet Union. He was in KGB, and his imperialistic and tyrannic ambitions will not stop. He has tried to take so many territories. There was Georgia, there was Crimea, there were parts of Ukraine since 2014. If we're going to give him territories now, what happens next? Some say that he might try, Europe again and attack Baltic states. Then what? Are we going to continue indulging the war criminal and the terrorist? Are we going to continue indulging Russia, the terrorist state? No, that shouldn't be the case. The entire world must know that Russia is a terrorist state.
Russia is the terrorist state!
Russia is a terrorist state.
Russia is a terrorist state!
Russia is a terrorist state.
Russia is the terrorist state!
Russia is a terrorist state.
Russia is the terrorist state!
Russia is a terrorist state.
Russia is a terrorist state!
Russia is a terrorist state.
Russia is the terrorist state!
And before briefly mentioning mentioned today that, I mean, this is something that Russia is currently being already prosecuted for, despite the millions of war crimes that they're committing every day, despite everything that they're doing to our prisoners of war, despite everything. The main thing that they're being prosecuted for, which is of course not that significant, is the illegal deportation of our Ukrainian children. Well, they call it deportation, it's more like kidnapping. I read an article actually this morning about Russians just taking children in guns from their families, taking them to Russian camps where they're forced to sing Russian anthem, where they're forced to recite Russian propaganda. These are our children that they're taking and doing this to them, brainwashing them in an attempt to maybe potentially then make them attack Ukraine at some point or other countries. I mean, this is something so crazy, so uncalled for. This is something that Russia was doing during Cold War times. This is something that Russia was doing during Soviet times. And this is something that should have never been allowed to happen. And yet the world is letting this happen. Yet the world is not prosecuting Russia properly. Yet the world is not prosecuting all the crimes. In fact, in the US, the Yale Institute of Research is doing an investigation of all the Russian war crimes, including this war crimes against children. And now with Donald Trump's administration, the research was closed. Why is nobody prosecuting Russia as it should be prosecuted? Tribunal for Russian war criminals!
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 And if you think about it, the World War II, in fact, lasted less than the war in Ukraine. The war in Ukraine has been going on for more than 10 years. There are war criminals in Russia currently who have been torturing people, who have been killing people, who have been in breach of Geneva Conventions, who breach all norms of international laws, and they're not being prosecuted. They're not being sought after like after World War II, all the Nazi leaders and all the concentration camp workers were being prosecuted severely. Nobody is doing this to Russia. It's something that needs to be also voiced and raised at all our rallies, at all the meetings, that there should be proper persecution of war crimes. And once again, we need to remind the world to provide Ukraine with the arms that we need. Because we cannot win. We can win on the legal front. We can win the information war. But we need weapons to actually win against Russia. So once again, I know we say this a lot. I know we ask for weapons a lot. We do it not because we are a war-minded country. We're doing this because we're defending ourselves. So please, arm Ukraine as you promised.
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 Thank you. Slava Ukraini!
Героям слава!
Ladies and gentlemen, I have a few words to say before we conclude the meeting. You've heard me talk about Chris O'Connor, a friend of mine whom I've met at the beginning of the war. He was born on 7th of March. How do I know that? Just remind you, how I know that is that on 7th of March 2022, on his 80th birthday, he came over to Ukrainian embassy and offered help. They sent him over to Ukrainian social club where we had our coordination center at the time, where I met Chris. Little I knew at the time that we will spend hundreds of hours in a vehicle going around London, moving the humanitarian aid from one place to another, moving the boxes with humanitarian aid to shipping points, going as far up north as Yorkshire. Little I knew that 80-year-old Chris will go to Ukraine 5 times. 5 times. He will meet the main rabbi of Ukraine. He'll meet the mayor of Kiev. He would go to border with Russia in Chernihiv region and ride a tank. Little I know Chris, whose adventurous soul wouldn't let him rest and pushed him farther on. I didn't know at the time that he had a very severe stage of lung disease. So therefore, as of last year, Chris is no longer with us. But герої не вмирають. Heroes do not die. Chris was a Chelsea pensioner. He tried to promote this cause with the Chelsea hospital. He did regular collections of cash. He did regular collections of humanitarian aid clothes. And even after Chris passed, after that disgusting event in the American Oval Office, where Ukrainian president was told off for not thanking American president enough, Chelsea pensioners, without urging, without Chris around, came over and collected 600 pounds. They collected 600 pounds and donated them to support Ukraine, to Ukrainian cause. 600 pounds. These are pensioners. These are people without income. These are pensioners who used to be soldiers in the British Army. These are the pensioners who are 80 years plus. We have a lot of people like that in Britain. In fact, Britain is one of the stalwart supporters of Ukraine. They house our people who ran from the war. They train our troops. They provide humanitarian aid. They provide military assistance. They even go and train our diplomats how to talk to Americans these days, because it ain't an easy task. And for that and many more things, we are very grateful to this great country. Thank you, Britain!
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 And it's critical for us to come here and show our support to Ukrainian troops, show our support to our families in Ukraine, but also it's critical to come here and show that Ukrainians do care. Ukrainians who live here do care. British people do care. We have to be here. Therefore, we are gathering here twice a week now. Twice a week. Wednesday, 6 to 8, and Sunday, 3 to 5. With a slight caveat, next Sunday, 6th of April, there will be a London Marathon here. In order not to complicate everybody's lives, we will have our rally at the St. Vladimir statue next to Holland Park. All right. I was just told that in this marathon there will be two military veterans, Ukrainian veterans who ran marathon in Barcelona will be running this marathon again. So your support will be more than welcome. Okay, so next Sunday, 6th of April, the rally will be held at St. Vladimir statue next to Holland Park Station, Red Line, Holland Park Station. I'll repeat this in Ukrainian. Наступного тижня, у неділю 6 квітня, тут буде відбуватися лондонський марафон. В ньому будуть приймати участь два українських ветерани. Для того, щоб не ускладнювати життя усім нам, ми проведемо мітинг. Ми проведемо цей мітинг 6 квітня біля статуї Святого Володимира, біля Холланд Парку, біля метро Холланд Парк. Тобто 6 квітня, неділя, тиждень відтепер, ми будемо мати мітинг біля статуї Святого Володимира на Холланд Парку. Дякую всім. Thank you very much. And now we'll finish our rally with the Ukrainian national anthem. One more time. Толік. Володя видає.
О, Володя.
Руй. Come over. All right. 1, 2, 3. Зачинаємо. Ще не вмерла
України, ні слава, ні воля. Ще нам, браття українці, усміхнеться доля. Згинуть наші вороженьки, як роса на сонці. Запануєм і ми, браття, у своїй сторонці. Душу й тіло ми положим за нашу свободу. Покажем, що ми браття козацького роду. Душу й тіло ми положим за нашу свободу. І покажем, що ми браття козацького роду.
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава нації!
Смерть ворогам!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Найкращим захисникам і захисницям тричі!
Слава! Слава! Слава!
І нашим ворогам тричі!
Смерть! Смерть! Смерть!
Thank you very much. I'll see you on Wednesday. Glory to Ukraine! Glory to heroes! Glory to Ukraine!
Glory to heroes!
Glory to Ukraine!
Glory to heroes!
Всім дякую, все буде Україна! Амінь!
Yes. Good to see you. Yeah, so drop these lovely people.
Are you free to school?
We are going
we have our batteries. We use Samsung the batteries made. The best it's a long the frame makes the entire thing much more efficient. The more rigid the airframe is, the higher the frequency of vibration. The ultimate vibration like the drone is making us really a lot of time just trying to counteract that. Which means it's wasting a huge amount of energy just staying in the air. Whereas our one's so stable that actually most of the energy goes down. We're all together. Maybe as you get bigger again, it's just like if you see it in the army arm, you see when they turn on, you literally see the arms doing it. You look at ours, we have a program in here where you can hear like these sounds, the blades going supersonic. That would rip a vampire. Aerospace.
10. So I would recommend it. Like the 20 is a really good value one. That's like a good airframe. Yeah, so I met the studio of the guy who makes the vampire. So it's not much. Yeah, if you're doing vampire tasks, because his airframe is way more than that. Well, that's what NATO is paying all the units who are getting. It's like, that's fucking cheap. Why would you have a 20-inch camera cost? I mean, one of the comments from the pilot was like, that is overkill, but it's going to be very funny because the Russians, you know, they use like 500-gram bombs, and all of a sudden you're going to get like hit by an 8.2-kilogram anti-tank one. So, you know, it's like you won't feel anything. But they were just like, this is completely excessive and unnecessary. The most you need is 2.7 millimeters. My airplane my sizer would have a camera, which is today you spend £8 for the expensive British airplane.
Что славно за Раша, только вредит, вы ущербны, занимайтесь вашими проблемами и не лезьте в другие страны. Вот, истину глаголит Максим, истину. Каждое слово нужно запомнить. Сейчас будем заканчивать.
I do have export licenses for some of our airplanes, but not all of them. So we're waiting for the export licenses for the 15-inch and 20, and then once I've done that, I'm just going to